Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So I'm sorry about the light being inconsistent. We're just working with what we got. It's gonna be a little bit more casual, a little more chill video style. But today we were thinking, and do you want to explain to them quickly?
Yeah, so I've always done videos, usually announcements for special announcements for our business or special announcements like when the baby was coming. But I never ever gotten like really personal about anything. Even the fun Q&A stuff that we do has never been really personal. It's almost just like to get to know us, but never like who we are or what our struggles are. And now more than ever, I feel like what we're going to touch up on is going to hopefully shed some light and let people know that they're not the only ones. But more when it comes to do with like mental health, stuff that most people don't know about us. Primarily myself, this is speaking for myself. There's a lot of things that I dealt with back in the past, and sometimes it still sneaks up on me. And that's what we kind of want to talk to you guys about today.
So we only have a short amount of time that we're gonna try to do this in, but we basically just wanted to share something that's a little bit more raw, a little bit more authentic to something we've never shown before, and I only talked about with maybe 3 people in my entire life. So it's very, very like real and raw. So it's not something we typically talk about, but we're just gonna like kind of talk about it because I feel like it's important right now with everything going on in the media and the news, and it's just everywhere right now. So, and obviously we're talking about the big elephant in the room, which is coronavirus. But basically, coronavirus, if you're watching the news or if you know anything, it's just been so much like emphasis on coronavirus right now. And if you watch the news for more than an hour a day, I promise you will go crazy with anxiety because it's scary. Like, the news is just putting out so much information, and I get it. This is just how they're getting views right now and stuff like that. They're trying to show all the worst cases and all the worst things, and I feel like it's just not healthy to watch all of the time.
So I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a little backstory So what I'm gonna touch up on, and we both have different anxieties, different panics that kind of trigger ourselves. But my anxiety started maybe 3 years ago, and it's health anxiety, which I've never spoke openly about because I felt like maybe 1 or 2 people might be able to relate, but health anxiety is not something that you deal with 24/7 unless something happens to you that makes you fear for your health. And I feel like now more than ever I've seen more friends, more family, more people in general just kind of have health anxiety more than ever. And thank God, I've been able to cope with it. It was about a 6 to 8 month process that it took me just to be able to learn how to deal with health anxiety. I'd be lying to you if I said I don't deal with it anymore. Occasionally it'll sneak up, and before I just keep talking, let me kind of tell you a little backstory. So about 3 years ago, I ended up going up to my my father's house to help remodel one of my brother's bedrooms. I had just got some new tools, so I wanted to kind of help him with some flooring, save him some money, plus learn to do some laminate flooring for the first time, a little DIY, I guess you can say. So I went to his house. I did the project for about 8 hours straight. I was on my knees, doing the flooring, cutting it, placing it, all that good stuff. And by the time it was all over, I got up and I felt kind of sore in my leg. So, I didn't think much of it. Obviously, I was on my knees the entire time. At that point, now I have a bunch more tools and tables and stuff to cut on. But back then, I didn't have stands or anything. So everything I was doing was on the floor. I'd cut on the floor, the laminate, then I'd go to the bedroom, get on my knee, install it, come back and forth. So it was all new to me.
And sometimes you would be on your knees for like an extended period of time.
For sure.
His foot would naturally fall asleep. Anyone's foot would fall asleep,
So, I didn't think nothing of it. I just assumed, it was from the long work day that my leg was sore. The next day is when things got a little bit more real. I woke up still with my leg a little sore, but my foot essentially I had no feeling in my foot. I got what is called drop foot, which If anybody, I don't think many people deal with it, but if you've ever had anything go limp, it's scary, you know. And drop foot, this is your foot when you're walking, okay? Drop foot, this is what happens to it, and there's no controlling it coming up. It just stays like this. I was able to press down on my foot, but I couldn't go up, and that was kind of freaky to me. You know, I woke up that morning, I was like, man, what's going on? So 2 days passed. And then that's when I said, you know what? I still have drop foot. Let me go to the doctor. Let me go check it out. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, hey, give it about a week. I think you might have a pinched nerve. I'll come back. I want to say it was like a Tuesday or something. He's like, come back next Tuesday, and then we'll check up again, see how everything's going. And this is where everything went downhill. At that point, it was just an accident, so I didn't really think much of it. But that's when I started doing.
The worst thing you could do is literally be your own Google doctor.
Yeah, and that's when I started just kind of researching what it could be. At that point in time, ALS was a huge thing. Literally, when this happened...
All those ALS bucket challenges, do you remember that?
The ice bucket challenge was all happening at that moment. So my mind started going crazy because one of the symptoms for ALS, and to anybody that has a family member or knows about ALS, this is not, my heart and sympathy is with you guys, and I always pray for those people because it has a special place in my heart, with the fear that I had, and I pray the best, for anybody with ALS. But, that was scary because that's one of the symptoms. That's one of the ways that you start to, know that something's happening when it comes to ALS. So right there and then, everything went downhill. To fast forward it, it took about 6 to 8 months for me to get out of that rut.
And when we say 6 to 8 months, like, I don't want you guys to think, oh, it was just like he was like sad. Like, it was like depression. Like, he could barely sleep. You could barely eat.
Yeah,
to be personal, like, we were not in like a space to show love to each other, because that was just like, when you're in anxiety and deep anxiety and panic, that's just not something that you're even thinking about. So to me, I felt like I was doing something wrong. It was a hard time on our marriage, but I feel bad for him because I deal with it as well, but nothing compared to what he went through. Like, nothing.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I just, like I said, I was my biggest culprit because, I was being told by the doctors everything's okay. You had a pinched nerve, because over time, it took about 2 weeks before my foot was actually able to move. And it took me about, I want to say, 4.5 to 5 months before I had some actual like strength where I can put a book on my foot and pick it up with my foot. Because at the beginning, I could not use my foot, had no strength. So that process took a while. And I continued to search. Even though the doctor said it's all good, it's going to come back, I continued to search. And that's why I felt like, man, more than ever, I feel like I want to just bring that message out, because you can be your own worst enemy right now during these times, researching what you think it's, for
and
instance,
it's easy right now not to even research. Like, people are just posting articles, so you click and click and click.
So I'll give you an example. Like, when Corona first started going, I haven't dealt with health anxiety for a little while now. Thank God, But when everything was kind of happening, I kind of told myself, I started getting an itchy throat, and I started saying, man, I started looking up symptoms of Corona, and boom, suddenly I had like a panic attack for the first time in a long time. And I had to stop watching the news. I had to stop doing all that, because it's just a trickling effect. You can get yourself in a rut, quicker than you can get out of sometimes. And that's kind of why we wanted to bring awareness, to let you guys know that, there's things that we can control personally if we just do our best to kind of stay out of that cycle. So a few tips that I can personally give you, and then she'll kind of describe to you what her anxieties are. But a few tips I can personally kind of give you is keep yourself busy. I know sometimes it's hard because they're the news is saying stay out, stay away from public places, do something at home,
clean your garage, do a workout,
find a project that you can do, go for an exercise run. I mean, they are recommending to go outside, take a walk, take a run, do things like that, get your mind off. One of the things, if you know me personally, if you follow me on social media or Facebook or see my stories, I'm always on the run. I think I average 4 hours of sleep a day, and sometimes less. Sometimes I'll stay up almost 48 hours. But I work so much because that's one of the things she doesn't like, is right now, one of the things I found that I can cope with my anxiety is just to keep myself busy. So I'm always on the run. And maybe this might be like, wow, no wonder he's always moving, because this is kind of letting you know, being open that, I do struggle with this, and this is one of the ways I keep myself out of that rut, is just to keep myself busy, keep my mind occupied, because my mind's a wanderer. Like, I can come up with a million ideas in an hour, because that's how my mind works. But when it comes to being consumed by one thing, like fear or anxiety, it goes from 1 million ideas to 2.5 million ideas. Like, it just goes really fast downhill. So I try to keep myself busy. And the other thing I can tell you is kind of actually listen to your support system. Support system being your family, friends, anybody that has something good to say. Don't just brush it off, because that was one of my biggest things when I dealt with anxiety really, really bad, was when somebody would tell you, hey bro, don't worry about it, everything's gonna be okay, the doctor already said this. And in my mind I automatically, like, everything they just said went in one ear out the other, and I just said, you know what, you don't know what I'm in, the position I'm in, you don't know. So if you have a symptom that might be scaring you, or you have something that you have a fear of, if somebody says something, trust in that. Obviously their answer is not 100%, you don't know for a fact, but let it just play out. You can have a million good things, and you take that one negative thing that you're thinking in your mind and cancel all that out. Always listen to that word of reasoning. If your mother's telling you, or your father's telling you, or anybody's telling you, husband, wife, hey, don't worry about it. Give it some time. If you do feel sick in 2 days and something happens, then we'll learn how to deal with it. But right now, just be patient. And let things kind of play out. And you have to, because if not, you're just going to keep yourself going downwards, if that makes sense.
I do feel like, and I constantly have to tell him, and he reminds me, that right now, whether you believe in God or not, it is such a spiritual war that you're going through in your mind. If your mind is not right at this time, you can easily make yourself sick into thinking, I am sick, something's wrong with me, I have to remind myself that of sometimes too, I don't deal with health anxiety. That's not something I deal with. But because of everything going on, and, right now, I am a little bit more on edge than I normally would be. So sometimes if I go out because I have to get groceries or things like that, or if I'm coming into contact with a lot of people, I'm like, oh my gosh, my throat feels itchy. I'm feeling a little lightheaded, but I have to quickly change my mindset. No, I am going to rebuke that. That is not true. That is just something that I'm scared about, and I'm not going to let that fear overtake me at this time. No, I rebuke that. So I think if you just remind yourself of those little things, I'm fine, I'm healthy, God has given me a healthy body and a healthy mind, I'm going to overcome this. We're not trying to take away anything from people who are actually having coronavirus. We're just saying, if you're in fear of that, just be careful and just try to relax and be mindful of that. So just a little tip for you guys.
Because to be honest, like I said, I had never dealt with health anxiety prior to that, but a crazy amount of stress can give you 1,000,001 symptoms. I mean, I can give you a list of all the symptoms I had when I was having panic and anxiety attack, and she can tell you. Sometimes I'd be like, babe, it's because my heart, I can hear my heartbeat, or babe, I got chills all night long, or babe, my fingers, I can't even close them. They're so I was getting cramps in my fingers. I can tell you a million things that I was dealing with. My eye would twitch because of stress. There's so many things that stress can bring onto your body. It's your biggest enemy, I guess you can say, when it comes to anything, if you don't know how to control it. So, like I said, this has been a process that, and still to this day, I'd be lying if I told you I'm 100% cured from health anxiety, because actually I'm at an all-time high that I've been for a long time today, more than ever, because I got a text maybe 3 hours ago that one of my good friends in Texas passed from coronavirus. And it sucks. It really, really
And
does
he
suck.
was he wasn't old. He was just a few years older than him. He did have some preconditions, like
More
would
like
you
asthma
say?
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, he did deal with a little bit, you know, more than I do. But it's still a scary thing because I hadn't really like.
It wasn't real for you yet because you didn't know anyone.
Yeah, yeah, and now I feel like my heart, my anxiety is on an all-time high, like I said, that I haven't been on before. And this is why I felt more than ever today I wanted to do this video to kind of let you guys know what I'm going to do from here that I got this news and everything feels 20 times more real and go forward. And one of the things that I have to tell myself right now is that I can't control what's going to happen coming up, but I can be patient and let it take its course, but obviously being responsible on what I do. You know, wash my hands, you know, keep my mouth covered if I go out in public, social
Stay 6 feet.
distancing, yeah, stuff like that. The other thing is, you know, I'm not going to get on the internet as much as I want to because I know that right now that my anxiety has suddenly struck up.
That's a big, big one. Like, limit your social media if you are having anxiety.
For sure. Even though you can say, hey, it's Easter and there's a lot of positive posts that I'm gonna see, you know how you deal with stress and anxiety. And if you know that all you know you can see 100 good posts and one coronavirus post or one anything that makes you fearful of the situations that we're in right now, the economy. Some people don't fear about corona, but they fear about the economy crashing because either their business or whatever the case is. You know, stay off the internet if you know that might trigger you. And then keeping myself busy. I haven't had an issue with that. I've been super busy these past 2 weeks. But, you know, more than ever, I might have to, you know, keep myself busy, at least occupied mindfully of what I'm thinking about. Because at the end of the day, you know, you can't control what's going to happen, but you can control how you deal with the situation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to, I mean, I feel like right now it's good to kind of let people know that, you know, everybody's human. I mean, we never talk personally like this. We never talk personal like this. We kind of just always have something light, you know, and the most personal we've gotten has been with the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I mean, we felt this is a time to kind of let people know that we aren't perfect. We don't have like this, you know, this perfect life or this perfect flow of things. You know, we're just as our life is just as chaotic and just as crazy, but you know, so are our struggles. You know, and this is one of the ones that I have dealt with that I felt like, hey, I should bring light to it to maybe I might be able to help just that one person. You know, kind of deal with it.
So it's kind of hard for me to kind of talk about because I don't even know where to start. But for as long as I've been little, I would say about 6 or 7, which back then I never even knew. You don't know those are things when you're little because, you know, it's just, you know. And I feel like anxiety and panic attacks have been brought more to light in this new decade versus back then. I just thought it was just my fear. But I've always, for as long as I can remember, have had a fear. And I know when it started, I'm not going to really bring that up much, but I've always had a fear of dying. And it's crazy to think that because, you know, us as Christians, we've grown up being Christian, you know, we know the word. But when you are fearful and you have anxiety, you know what can be true, but it's hard to tell yourself differently. Like, it's hard to be like, okay, don't be scared because, you know, at the end of this, even if we die, we're going to be with God. To me, it wasn't so much that, it's just not knowing being in one place for the rest of my life. It was just always something I feared. And if I think about or talk about, or if it's like, sometimes it can just trigger, like out of nowhere, it can just trigger me. And he'll know, like, I'll be like, shaking, like my hands instantly get like this, like
one of the times it kind of went off is we were watching a movie and there was a scene where the guy kind of went into like the abyss in a black sky, and he was just floating in the air, and it just randomly just triggered her, and she was shaking and almost crying.
I was trying to control it so much because we had his family over, and I wasn't trying to have a panic attack in front of his family because they don't know me like that. Not that they don't know me like that. It's just I've never had a panic attack in front of anybody but my husband, or myself, just by myself, because I can try to like go away, if something is happening. But it's just hard to reason when you're in a anxiety, like, or in a panic attack. You can't reason with yourself. But I've been trying to work on it for a really long time. I didn't even know it was anxiety until, later on in life, I would say recently. But it's something I work through, and I'm trying to work through, and I get how he's saying, like, you try to stay busy and you try to distract your mind quickly because it is a mental thing. It really is a mental, like, war. So I do agree with that, trying to distract yourself, You definitely have to breathe through them, Sometimes you just have to go through the panic attack and just let go, and then the thing that you're scared of the most, I would say, you have to just go through it once you're in it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I mean, once you're in it, I mean, you're gonna get out of it. You're always gonna get out of it. The panic attack doesn't last for the rest of your life. The anxiety doesn't last for the rest of your life. You will get over it. It's just learning to cope with it. Like I said, I'd be lying to you if I said I don't deal with anxiety anymore, because I do. And it does sneak up. But now I have almost 3 years of learning to cope with it, that I know kind of how to, help myself out in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm certain one day later on down the road, something else might trigger my anxiety beyond just health, and I'm not, I'm human, but I know that there is better days, and right now we're in that season where everything happened in the economy, the corona, maybe knowing somebody that has it, it's happening and it's real, but there will be better days, and right now we just have to do our part to keep ourselves safe, and at the same time do our part to keep ourselves sane, because if you don't keep yourself sane, this whole process is going to be 10 times worse. And that's why I feel like, we just have to learn how to help one another out, and be honest with each other. Sometimes people don't admit when they have anxiety, or they don't know that they're having anxiety, because it might all be new to them, just like when it was for me. So that's when we kind of have to help each other and let each other know, hey, I know what you're dealing with, and listen to that person. If they deal with anxiety and you feel like you've never had, but they're trying to give you advice, kind of listen to them. Don't, brush it off, and obviously they're not doctors. They're not going to tell you 100% what's going on with you. But kind of try to keep an open ear out, because I did have people try to reach out to me and say, hey, I've dealt with something similar to that. And in my mind, I still had to figure out what was happening with my leg, instead of just letting it take its course. That's where you can mess yourself up.
So I think all in all, it's what we're saying is, if you feel that way, definitely, like, tell somebody that you trust and you love. You don't have to tell people like we are in a video, but I would say find one person and definitely let them know what's going on with you, so that way they can, be your person and be there for you. I definitely recommend leaning on God strongly in this time. I know that's the only thing for me that keeps me sane, talking to my husband about it when it's happening. I always need to, like, be held when it's happening, it gives me comfort. Yeah, I feel like, I'm not sure. I definitely we just wanted to share this with you guys. It's very raw. We don't know everything. We're not psychologists,
And actually, since we're gonna post this and we're gonna share this, if you deal with this, or share it and let other people know that this is this is real, but at the same time, also comment or let people know how you've dealt with it, you know, because at the end of the day, you might have a different way of dealing with it, and what works for us might be completely different for somebody else, you know, but, you know, we just kind of want to let people know that it's totally natural, totally normal to have an anxiety, especially at the times that we're in right now. Like I said, I've never talked about it because I never thought somebody could relate to me when it came to health anxiety, because it was something that I felt was just my own doing. But now I realize, listening and hearing a lot of people, that it can be something that gets brought up just with the times that we're in. And we hope that this video might shed some light on somebody's situation at the moment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I think we just wanted to be real for the first time, let people know that, you know, what our struggles are, and at the end of the day, hopefully if this can help one person, we did our part to bring awareness to what our situations are.
For sure. We will be praying for you guys right now, for everybody dealing with it. Everyone's dealing with it in a different way, and we just want to say we love you guys. We are praying for you guys, and you know, if you're dealing with something like this, reach out to somebody. Don't deal with it alone, because you need somebody to rely on, somebody to trust in, and I definitely recommend that. You know, we are each other's, you know,
accountability partners.
Yeah, if I'm feeling weak, he lifts me up. And if he's feeling weak, I lift him up. You know, that's part of unequally yoked in the Bible that, you know, it talks about. And that's kind of the reasoning why, you know, you have to be able to lift each other up when they're not doing good, you know. And you're not always going to be up here, or you're not always going to be down here. You go in waves, you know, with life and how it comes. And, you know, unfortunately, that's why we balance each other out, you know. So
For sure.
We just wanted to share that with you guys. It is very, very raw. I'm really nervous to post this because, y'all, I've never shared this with anyone. Like, I recently just saw my parents' my dad, a couple weeks back. So it's something that, you know, it's very, very personal to us, you know. Not something we share. You share a little bit more with people like that you're close with, like a couple
close
friends.
Yeah, close friends who I've seen over the past 3 years have dealt with some type of situation. I kind of let them know, hey man, it's all normal. I've dealt with it. This is how I've dealt with it, you know. But I've never done it on a scale where I just let whoever decides to click on this video know, you know. But this is something that we're doing to kind of bring awareness to
something that's been on your heart. And so I feel like if it's been on your heart, you know, we definitely wanted to bring light to it, because, you know, maybe that's what God wanted you to speak on.
For sure.
If you could touch just one person,
I did my part.
Then that was what it was meant for, you know.
Well,
thank you guys for watching. I know it was a lengthy video, but, you know, it's kind of hard to just get all of that out in 5 minutes, you know.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Thank you guys so much, and we appreciate you guys, and we will be praying for you guys.